going to talk a little bit on the segment about judges and the relationship between the judges, arrangers, and fans, right? Threats to a judge, that's a very real thing. A lot of judges shy away from judging panorama, especially in certain categories, right, in panorama, because they have been threatened. They have been threatened with physical harm. Their life has been threatened already. And that is sad, right? Because most of the time, a judge judges based on the criteria, and we should respect that. We shouldn't encroach, and we shouldn't try to bully the judges. A lot of the judges fearful to arrange in certain categories. They would rather judge in this category, rather judge in that category, or rather not even judge at all. Some judges extend to Panchimbigo already, or express in Panchimbigo that they have no interest in judging because it didn't worth their life to come and judge a panorama and people threatening them and so on and so on. So we should get away from that behavior. Even in the moving away from that a little, in the Notting Hill panorama, read comments on the internet, some fan of some band wanted to know what the judges have been drinking and the results were so poor and so on and so on and so on and so on. And I say to my fellow judges is that once we know that we're sure what we do, we're sure that we did what we're supposed to do based on the criteria, the comment shouldn't faze us, right? That was just one comment that most of the people, other than that person, were pretty satisfied at how it went down. People would ask a few questions, and based on the explanation that I or somebody else would give, they understand. One of the things that I did at the panorama is I gave my email address and my number to the liaison officer to pass to the arranger or the band leader in case they want me to explain one of my comments or explain why they get low marks here or there. And it's something that I would do because I have no fear in terms of explaining exactly what I think and what I hear on the day, right? So again, to fans, again to arrangers, and even players, don't threaten the judge, don't bully the judge, and don't intimidate the judge, because I think that a lot of judges are intimidated and they sometimes give points to not be unpopular, and that we don't want that. We want to have a fair panorama. We want to make sure that for the sake of the show itself, we want to make sure that the panorama is fair. People go away feeling comfortable that yes, we were judged and we were judged fair, right? All right, this topic is a little touchy, and this part of it, we're talking about payment for judges. Now, if we consider the salary for the judge of the land who judge in the High Court, is usually handsome, pretty high, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because they don't want the judge to be compromised in terms of people offering bribes and so on and so on and so on. We should take that into consideration because usually the first place for panorama, at least in Trinidad, the money is pretty high. It's not where we would like it to be yet, but it's pretty high. And we don't want people to be offering judge money, saying, well, the Panchimbigo or whoever it is who organizing the show, they're paying only nothing if we give only a 10,000 or 20,000 to put we first. We don't want that. So you're looking at offering the judges a package that would be comfortable, that they would feel comfortable, and that law or that temptation of taking money on the outside because they're not being paid properly shouldn't be an issue. Again, if judges have integrity, they wouldn't take the money at all, but then again, it's human beings we're dealing with. We should pay the judges to ensure that the integrity stands, and we also should pay the judges because they are professionals, they are musicians who studied, and other than study, they had experience and capability. So, other than integrity, we want to make sure that we pay judges because they are professionals. They studied music, and we should give them the wood. And we should always try to give people whatever it is, whether it's judges, musician, artists, or whatever, we should always try to give them their wood. Right? So that is in terms of payment for judges. Judges who leave in the country should be negotiated when and how much they're being paid beforehand, right? We wouldn't want to have any embarrassing experience that when the judges reach there, they reach with just enough money to last them for the day, and then they were there for 7 days, and then they're not being paid, they don't know how they're eating, how they're drinking, and so on and so on and so on. So that should be negotiated beforehand. It should be settled, and when the judges reach there, if they get a daily stipend, that should be organized as quickly as possible because you don't know how far the person in terms of finance would reach in matter of days or whatever, right? So that is it in terms of judging and stipend, and pay them handsomely because they are musicians and they are well qualified, right? All right. So based on what we have in the judges' criteria, we only have a few things left. We don't need much examples and much explanation, right? We have the introduction, and the introduction of the piece should have elements of the song, right? Could have some motivic development, could have a little melodic development, but let the song itself be part of the introduction. Let the motifs of the song introduce the verse and chorus. If you have an introduction and you don't have elements of the verse and chorus in it, it would be a poor introduction in my case. And that is just my opinion. Somebody else might have a different opinion, but you can tell me, right? So, we're moving on. In terms of general performance, they have dynamics. And what they're looking for is the ability of the players to execute loud and soft passages as the arranger play. Now this is important because if you have dynamics and you have 8 points allotted to dynamics and the arranger don't put dynamics in the tune, then you wouldn't get that 8 points. So arrangers, be careful that you should have some loud and soft passages in there somewhere to show that we have some dynamics and the players can play the dynamics as well, right? So that is dynamics. We have balance, and they have that under general performance. We want to know that we can hear all the cellos, we can hear the tenors, we can hear the basses, and if it is that one is overpowering, you have 2 things that you can do for that. You can set up your band in such a way that if you have instruments, like you have not enough, if you don't have enough cellos, you could put them a little forward, or you could just have the tenors and the double tenors or whoever it is that overpowered played softer. That's where the players again would have to execute the balance of the music. The judges need to hear all the parts, and that's what we're looking at for balance. If the judges not hear the basses properly and the cellos properly, or even the tenors properly, we would think that the balance is not right, or the execution of the music is not right. Coming to execution, we have interpretation, and that is the ability of the players to execute the music. They want to make sure that the players play the runs and them properly. And not only play the runs, but even the softer, the easier passages, we want to make sure that they articulate them properly. Some notes should be a little louder than some to get that expression and so on and so on. So this is something that we look for, and all of that is under general performance. You have interpretation, dynamics, balance. In the Notting Hill Panorama, they had an extra slot for the visual part of it. Oh, they want to see the excitement from the players. They allotted 10 points for that. They want to see how the players are dressing the performance, jumping up, smiling, enjoying themselves. and that is something that I agree with. They don't have it in Trinidad and Tobago, but I agree with that. If it is that you're performing and people watching you, you're supposed to look good, right? And that entails smiling, that entails dancing, enjoying yourself. You must look like you're enjoying yourself. Alright? We're going into, we have two things left. We have tone, and tone is pretty simple. It is and that all depends on the tuner to make sure that the band is blend good. The band's supposed to be sounding well. The band does sound beautifully. Right? This is a beautiful instrument, and once it's tuned properly, you will get a good overall tone. But there's also the next part of it where the players, if the players slamming the pan, although it is a good instrument, it will still sound shabby. So we need players not to slam the pan, but not to play too soft too, because you need to find the level at which you can play at, where the pan would sound bright, but not get that harsh tone from it. Right? And that is for tone. And last and not least, we have rhythm. Rhythm is separated in 2 or 3. We wanted to make sure that the tempo stays steady, and that's an important thing. It starts at one tempo. If you even self it shift, it shouldn't shift too slow or too fast. And we were looking to see how relevant the rhythm is to the arrangement. And that relevance would mean that if they play the phrases, the big phrases that the band make it, if when they change into a samba piece, if they play samba, when they change into a chutney piece, if the rhythm change into a chutney, that is what we was looking at in terms of rhythm. Cohesiveness is kind of understood, but if it is that the rhythm not cohesive too, we would deduct some marks for cohesiveness as well. So that is something that you should be aware of. And I think that is it in terms of what we have so far for the judging criteria. Again, this is just my opinion. Things subjected to change, right? And if it is that we feel that we need change, we should come together as judges and arrangers, talk about it, talk about change, and see if we can address it within the criteria once that it can be measured. And that is something that is important as well, because some people would like the criteria to have things that are not measurable. For instance, somebody would say, the music sounding good. What do you mean by sounding good? You can't measure it, because what is sounding good to you might be something good to somebody else, right? So once we have the criteria, we can measure it. We can say, well, yes, it have this, and yes, it have that. Those are the things that we need to add in or take out. So again, these are just my opinion. We could come together as judges and arrangers and disagree with things. We could come up with new things, because the thing is, the music is always evolving. I think that the panorama in particular is different from festival music. So yes, it may have things that we could adjust to create or to keep the panorama feel that we're looking for, right? That thing, that excitement in the panorama, that excitement in the music that we have through the years, we need to preserve that. So again, I'm appealing to judges, I'm appealing to arrangers. Let's get together and sort it out. I hope that the video that we do give a better understanding to judges and arrangers, and more so the layman pan person who just like pan and following pan and even judging their mind. They could have an understanding as well. What are the things and the criteria? What are the things that the judging looking for? What are the things that the arrangers trying to recreate? I would like to say to arrangers, plenty of time, because it is art, we are so connected to the art, we take a judge comment personal, and we take that judge who like me or something like that. We need to be a little more mature than that, to know that the person, the majority of the time, dealing with the criteria and addressing the criteria. So we need to be mature about it. Judges need to have integrity, and they need to represent all the judges. Just remember, once you are a judge, you represented all the judges, right? And if it is that you don't have integrity, it makes all of us look bad. So I hope that every judge in Trinidad and Tobago and all over the world that judging panel keep that in mind, that we must have integrity. Yeah, so this brings us to the end of the video, right? I hope you enjoyed. Please comment, post a video, right? Give me your point of view on judges and arrangers video, this judges and arrangers video, right? I hope that judges and arrangers can meet soon. We could adjust the criteria, we could make demands on how we want, or what direction we would like to see the music go, right? We have other musical elements that we can add in, or we could even take out, right? I hope to see that soon. I hope to see you soon. I'd like to say thank you for everybody for watching the video, and I hope that in the near future I can post something to you again, and we can have our next discussion on judging and arranging, or even other elements of the PAN community. Alright, so thank you once again.